Okay, excellent. Well, today on the InsurTech Leadership Podcast, we're going beyond the buzzwords and into what it really means for AI to become your best CSR. I'm joined by Nikhil Kansal. He is co-founder and CTO at Cara, a domain-specific AI platform built specifically for insurance to automate servicing and assist with sales. The idea for Cara came directly from the pain Nikhil and his team felt scaling sales at service at his previous venture, Oyster, a digital brokerage that used AI to deliver best-in-class customer experience and risk placement. And earlier, Nikhil was an infrastructure engineer at Stripe, helping keep global payment rails up with only minutes of downtime a year. We'll talk about the strategic tension between cost control and AI-driven innovation, how Cara fits into real agency workflows, and the leadership and talent needed to make AI a genuine force multiplier without losing the human touch. Welcome, Nikhil.
Thank you, Joshua. It's great to be here. Really appreciate having you having me on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so let's jump into it. You've gone from infrastructure engineering at Stripe to co-founding Oyster and now Cara. And so, as you look back, what kind of were the inflection points that pulled you from payments into where you are today, building AI products for insurance?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think, since I was very young, I've always been inclined to do something with technology. I got my start when I was 10 years old. I had discovered the joys of web development very early on. So it was fun to express that like creativity that comes with, making something, working with your hands, metaphorically speaking. So I think I've always been inclined to technology. So, my education, my experience has always been around exploration and applications of technology. When I started my career at Stripe in infrastructure, I was very much motivated by the hard problems that exist at scale and with distributed systems. And I think the inflection point for me was realizing that, hey, payments is a really hard problem. It's really hard to build reliability for payments. Insurance is pretty adjacent. It's related to financial technology. And I think that one of the benefits that payments has had over the years is a lot of investment has gone, and a lot of folks have recognized the technological problems that exist and tried to solve them. And I think with insurance, that hasn't always been the case historically. Insurance carriers and firms sometimes lag behind, what's possible with modern technology. So I think realizing that, hey, there's translatable experience from financial technology to insurance technology is really what brought my co-founders and I together to start Oyster. And as we went through that journey of building a digital brokerage and saying hey, how do we use technology to make the insurance buying and selling process easier, we realized that a lot of folks have this pain. There's over 1 million insurance agents and brokers in the United States. We're fortunate to be able to leverage technology efficiently, but why not bring this to everybody? Why not let everyone kind of focus on the client relationships, focus on the core of the insurance, the why folks are insurance agents rather than the mundane aspects of reading documents and writing documents. So that's really what brought Cara into this world, our need to focus on, or desire to focus on, customers without getting bogged down in smaller, less important details, and our desire to bring that to everyone else.
How has the technology that you've built at Cara, how is it similar to what you built at Oyster for your own internal purposes? And, how is it different? How has it evolved?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. When we were building Cara for Oyster, it was not called Cara, it was an internal tool. And it was we primarily used it to expedite specific workflows. So we would fill out a lot of Accord forms and supplemental applications. Those are generally very, very time consuming. But with technology and AI, we figured out how to do this much more quickly. Or handling things on the customer success side. So if a customer calls in or emails in for a certificate of insurance, having an automation that will automatically look at their policy information and look at the past certificates that have been generated and try to do a first pass at that, just to make the agent's life a lot easier. That's what this technology, the software really looked like when it was being developed as part of Oyster. What it looks like now is it's a lot more of a consumer facing product. And by consumer, I mean like our customers. So it's a lot friendlier of a UI. It encompasses more end-to-end workflows. There is a voice component, an email component as well. It's just been trained much more robustly. It's just a very polished product. And I think the direction that it's going in is also a little bit different. So previously it was an internal tool. It did specific tasks. Now it's more positioned as an AI CSR. So it's a coworker that you can delegate certain tasks to, and you can trust that that task is going to get completed end to end, and the coworker is going to figure out and resolve any ambiguities. So that's definitely a key improvement that's been made over the internal tool.
Got it. And so compared to, the agency management systems that are out there, and their efforts to incorporate AI into their platforms, or plans to do so, how does Cara relate to that and sort of the rest of the tech stack that an agency might have?
Yeah. Cara generally sits on top of your system of record. So Cara is not a replacement for an AMS. Rather, it is more of a coordinator of systems. So Cara can find information in your AMS, in your CRM. Cara can leverage information from past calls and any policy documents or customer communications you may feed into Cara, and kind of orchestrate all of that information to achieve a goal. Whereas, AI implementation in AMS is fairly early right now. I'd say that Cara is much more comprehensive than any AI tool that's been built into an AMS. So there's still something to be seen as to how those evolve. But I think just from a positioning perspective, like where we sit in the stack allows Cara to be more comprehensive, work across multiple tools and multiple AMSs. We have customers that use, one AMS for their commercial book, another AMS for their personal book. Cara is going to be able to work across both integrations, both agency management systems. They may have a CRM with calls, notes, and emails. Cara will be able to draw from that as well. So I would say that Cara is just a more holistic solution, truly like an AI CSR, and less like an AI tool for specific tasks that an AMS might build.
So, in sort of the evolution of InsurTech, there was definitely a period where everyone said, the agency is dead, the broker's dead, and we're trying to build solutions to directly compete. It seems pretty clear that's not the case. So, when you're talking to, say, potential hire that you're trying to recruit into the Cara team, how would you explain the future you're trying to build for agencies and brokerages? What can you enable them to be going forward?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that. A lot of people did and still do think that insurance agents are going away. But our thesis from the beginning has been that at the end of the day, like, why does someone approach an insurance agency or brokerage? It's for that relationship, right? You as an individual, as a client, you want a trusted advisor. You want someone to tell you what coverage is right for you, and make sure that as your needs change, your coverage changes as well. I think that because that requirement and that desire is driven by the customer, it's always been our thesis that insurance agents and brokers are here to stay. What's going to change is the day-to-day of that agent or broker, and that's really what we're aiming to do here. So when we talk to new hires, we always motivate them by saying, like, hey, our job is to make agents and brokers' lives easier. It's not to replace them or to change the function of the market. It's to facilitate a more smooth exchange of information and transact that coverage in a way that satisfies all of the requirements. Obviously we want to make sure that the coverages are correct, but really gets to the core of that relationship between an agent and their client. And that's how we tell customers what we're, or our hires, what we're trying to build and why they should join us.
And so is there like from flipping around to the other side, from the agency side or the broker side, is there like a number one pain point that, the AI CSR is solving, or a couple of key ones that, when they come back well, it's Friday now, but say they have a nice weekend, they come in Monday morning and have a problem. Is there a particular problem you can help solve?
Yeah, Cara solves a lot of problems. I can talk about a couple. So the biggest problem that Cara solves, or one of the largest problems that Cara solves, is handling customer requests after hours. Insurance agents and brokers, they don't work 24/7, but sometimes their clients expect them to. And I think that's where Cara kind of bridges the gap. So it's after hours, late at night, over the weekend. Cara has a voice AI component. Cara can pick up the phone, speak to the customer, understand what they're calling about, ask the right questions, navigate that conversation, and ultimately have a very detailed follow-up ready for the agent when they're back in office. For certain tasks, Cara can answer the customer directly on the phone. So if it's a very simple question and that information is available in the CRM or AMS, then Cara can reference it. But for the most part, the problem that our customers face is a client calls after hours. Maybe the agent's not available to pick it up. Maybe the customer leaves a voicemail and says, "Hey, I need a certificate." If the information isn't detailed enough, then that agent is going to have to follow up and chase that customer down and say, "Hey, all right, I got your request, but I need more information." Cara really tries to solve that problem by getting all the information, handling those calls, and getting everything ready for the agent so that they can just hit send and process that request. A lot of our agents and agencies are also very interested in the integrations that Cara has. It's very important to keep track of the communications that you have with customers and make sure that the information and your records stay up to date. So Cara also is a tool that our agencies use to keep their systems up to date. So if a customer emails in or a carrier emails in, then an agent can forward that communication to Cara and say, "Hey, make sure this is recorded in my agency management system." She'll go and make a record of it, fill out any fields that are necessary, as well as reconcile information and make sure that everything is up to date. And then finally, accord forms, supplementals, quote, like proposals, coverage comparisons, all these types of document reading and generation workflows. Those are huge pain points for our customers that Cara really tries to solve from start to finish.
So do you see, as this technology continues to evolve, do you see that certain activities or functions will kind of eliminate the human in the loop and become fully automated, but still being able to balance that with, what you were describing earlier about the relationship driven nature and the reason why someone, goes to an agent in the first place?
Yeah, I think human in the loop is going to be here to stay for quite a while. Insurance is just so nuanced, especially if you're looking at commercial insurance or excess and surplus lines. There's just so much nuance that the bar that you would need for an AI to be able to confidently handle every scenario is just too high for what the technology allows for today. That's been core to the design of Cara, where everything is human in the loop. So except for the voice AI piece, where you have total control over what Cara can do, all other communications have to be approved by an agent or broker before they go out. And I think even though that human in the loop remains, you'll still see the role of an agent or a broker change over time. So rather than spending lots and lots of time reading and writing documents, reviewing coverages, and manually trying to find emails and information, we'll expect the AI to be able to speed that part up greatly, surface the right information at the right time in the right format, read and write and compare those documents for the agent, so that all they have to do is step in and double check and maintain that relationship with the client. So take the output of the AI, go to the client, do a great job explaining it to them, listening to their concerns. That's really the focus of an agent's effort is going to be when AI starts to handle 80 to 90% of the back office and manual work, even with a human in the loop process.
I'm curious, just shifting gears a little bit. Given your technical background, I'm assuming you're leading technical teams and either leading or influencing product teams today within the organization. But is there something that's like a non-insurance experience? Could have been Stripe, could have been a side project, or maybe something altogether outside of work that influences how you lead in those environments?
Interesting question. A non-insurance experience that influences how I lead. I think a lot of my leadership philosophy comes from other leaders that I've worked with in the past. And I haven't, transparently, like Stripe was the first job I had out of college. So I was working in technology, fintech, as an engineer for like my entire career before doing insurance. So I would say like most of my experience is non-insurance. But yeah, I think my leadership is very influenced by the leaders I've worked with in the past, folks that have extended trust to me and given me the space to do my best work, who have supported my growth and made sure that if I had an idea, then it was at least considered on its merits, rather than the level or position that I was occupying at that time. So that's kind of how we like to run things at the company as well. Like we operate a very high trust, high autonomy culture where ideas are judged on their merit and everyone has the space to contribute equally.
And are there, in order to find people who will be successful in that type of environment, are there specific capabilities or, depending on the level of the organization, leadership traits that you're looking for, whether it's on the technical side or the commercial side, product side, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I think at an early stage venture-backed company, really the most important thing is how self-sufficient someone is. So can they learn quickly and on their own? Are they able to take business requirements and product requirements and turn it into technical requirements? Do they have the drive and will to own something from start to finish and really dive into a problem and work to resolve it independently? Of course, technical skills are important, but when we evaluate candidates, we don't necessarily look for who's technically best. We look for who's the best fit for an early stage environment, who's going to be able to own something start to finish, who is going to learn quickly enough to grow. Like, if I was to distill it, I'd say we look for slope instead of y-intercept, the trajectory of a candidate rather than where they currently are.
And is it different the way you hire now versus the way you hired within Oyster and, building, a digitally enabled agency versus building a product to help agencies, digitize and leverage AI?
I would say so. I think the skills are a little bit different to build an insurance brokerage versus building software for insurance brokerages. Overall, I would say that like knowing insurance workflows very well was important for the digital brokerage because a lot of the folks that we hired were focused on selling and getting to basically first day to first sale, tightening that loop as quickly as possible. Whereas I think insurance specific workflow knowledge is very important on the product and engineering team, but we have a lot of experience building insurance between me and my two founders, as well as other team members who actually have an insurance background. So I think now we're looking for who has the best product intuition, product taste, who can communicate clearly with customers who are non-technical, and who can ship things at very high quality and also very quick speed. So those are the kind of qualities that we're looking for now.
And were there people who were really well suited at Oyster who, also were well suited to come to Cara, and some people who were really well suited at Oyster but weren't well suited to come to Cara because of the different focus of the business?
Yeah, I think at the stage when we exited the company, pretty much everyone came on from Oyster to Cara. It was a very small team at that time. It was just 5 people. So everyone came on. All those skill sets definitely translated very well because we're still building an insurance. We still, our customers are who we were. So our customers are agents. We were agents. So we know exactly what those workflows are. So I'd say the skills and the knowledge is very transferable between Oyster and Cara, and pretty much everyone came on board.
Got it. So as you look at kind of your future product roadmap and continue to get customer adoption, um, anything new that you'd like to share or particularly exciting about the results people are getting?
Yeah, I think people are constantly finding new ways to use Cara. I'll review customers pretty frequently, their usage, and I'll set up meetings with customers and ask them like, hey, how has Cara helped you this month? Or, what do you wish Cara has done better? And I'll always find some creative use for Cara's capabilities, whether they want her to generate specific documents or whether they want Cara to research a potential applicant and identify any risks that may not have been disclosed. These aren't use cases that we had explicitly built into Cara, but being an AI coworker and AI CSR, you can certainly use Cara in those ways. And as we learn about the ways in which customers use Cara, we try to bake those functionalities back into the platform so that customers have to do less custom work and our team can take on development of turning these features that customers may have built one-off into something that's robust and repeatable for all customers. That's kind of the process that we go through. We review customer feedback, we hear what they have to say, how they're using the product, and then we iterate and refine the core platform for all of our customers to benefit. A lot of times, I guess, customers frequently request new Accord forms to be added to the system. Excel file generation has been requested quite a few times. So next week, Cara will be able to generate and edit Excel files, building fillable PDFs and editing Word documents. Those are all things on our roadmap as well. We've also got a fairly ambitious workflow builder product that's coming out pretty soon. So taking your specific workflows, exactly what you want Cara to do, drag and drop those pre-built blocks into the workflow builder, and then Cara is just going to get to work rather than having to figure out exactly what to say to Cara and how to use Cara in independent, discrete steps to achieve a task. So that's kind of the direction that we're going in right now, but we've got a lot more coming, like outbound voice AI as well for renewal reminders and payment reminders and so forth.
So for agencies and brokerages who may be listening and are trying to operationalize AI, do they have to have someone on the team who's a prompt engineer? Do most people organizations already have the people they need within the organization who can lead these types of implementations and kind of change management within the organization, or is there some other skill set they need to bring on board in order to be successful?
I think the only thing that you need for Cara is curiosity and just general interest in adopting AI. I think the product does a fairly good job of being accessible to non-technical folks, especially insurance agents and agencies. We don't rely too much on the customers prompting the product because we built so much into the platform already. So, for example, if you wanted to compare multiple coverage options, you don't need to teach Cara or tell Cara exactly what to look for or how to go about doing that. If Cara can't find any information, then Cara will note it explicitly. Or if Cara needs to go to the web to, for example, populate an AI CS code, then Cara will be very explicit and say, I didn't find it, but I went out and proactively found it on the web. So I guess that just goes to my original point of Cara already does a lot of the things that an insurance agent would expect her to do automatically. So all you have to do is bring your workflows, know what kind of outcomes you're looking for, what are your major problems. And we onboard every customer one at a time because we recognize that every agency is unique. Their workflows are unique. Their customers and the types of coverages they write are unique. So that onboarding process is really where we work with customers to make sure that we are the ones taking on the responsibility of making sure that the product works for them and not the other way around.
Got it. So, if we were to look ahead 3 years, what would that picture look like? What would success look like for the company in terms of the product, customers you're working with, maybe evolution of the team? Is there anyone kind of who might be a new stakeholder sitting at the table with you who isn't there today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, 3 years from now, we're going to be looking to expand both the breadth and the depth of the product. So going deeper on existing customers and their workflows and kind of making sure that we handle all the edge cases and continue to build these automations that really work end to end and don't need someone to intervene. That's what I would call the depth of the platform. We want to have a depth to the point where you could confidently delegate a task to Cara, and that task could be as complex as it is, and Cara can handle it. At the same time, we would like to expand the breadth of the platform. So not only handling more types of tasks, but really trying to create Cara into like the connective operating system for insurance. So agencies and brokerages, they don't operate in a vacuum. They'll work with wholesalers, they'll work with carriers, they'll need to know like whose appetite guidelines are applicable for which risk. And there's a lot of questions that arise from that. Not to mention that information is constantly changing, and those relationships and the connections that agencies have are constantly changing as well. So I think in the next 3 years, where we want Cara to be is really operating the entire network of agencies, wholesalers, and carriers, allowing transactions to go through seamlessly, allowing agencies and brokerages to discover new capacity, wholesalers to distribute their capacity to agencies, making sure that applications as they transact in this network are consistent, are reviewed, reducing the number of times that wholesalers and agencies have to go back and forth on getting a form filled exactly right, or eliminating reaching out to a wholesaler or a carrier because Cara can tell you that, hey, they're not going to write this risk. So really sitting in between all of these parties and acting as the connective nervous system, transacting the information in a way that's efficient and predicts and prevents a lot of the potential issues that may occur.
Sounds exciting, and definitely something that seems like would be quite valuable to all the different players to be that connective tissue there. Nikhil, anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
No, I mean, our team is always very happy to like connect with folks and just kind of hear about their problems. Even if Cara isn't the vendor or the solution for you guys, our team loves to hear feedback. We love to talk to folks and get to know like what are the issues out there. Maybe that's something that we can solve. Maybe we can recommend a vendor that does solve that problem for you. But really that's the approach that we like to take with our customers, as well as prospects or anyone that we meet. Just like let's have a conversation. So if there's anything around AI or InsurTech that anyone has a question about, then my door, my email, my calendar is always open.
Oh, that's very generous of you. I think it is a good approach, and really appreciate all the information that you shared today. So Nikhil Kansal, co-founder and CTO of Cara, thanks so much for joining me on the InsurTech Leadership Podcast.
Thank you, Joshua, for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.